My parents used to send my brother and me to spend our summer vacations at my dad's ranch in Mexico. We worked on the mountainside near the ranch house, and every evening we'd walk up to the main house for dinner. It was about a mile uphill along a rock-paved road. Sometimes we worked even higher up the mountain near a stream. One night, after a long day of herding animals and fishing, my cousins, my brother, and I started heading back down. It was already dark, and we were just talking casually as we walked. I don't know why, but I started whistling without thinking. Everyone stopped. My cousins and my brother went completely silent and just stared at me. "What?" I asked. That's when they all told me never to whistle at night. I asked why. My older cousin said, "When you whistle at night, the devil whistles back." I rolled my eyes. I never believed in ghosts or anything like that. I loved horror movies, so to be annoying, I started whistling again. It genuinely scared them. One of my cousins even ran up the hill ahead of us. I laughed and kept whistling until they all left me behind. Now I was alone, walking up the hill. All I could hear was the wind and the croaking of toads. Then I heard a whistle. I assumed one of my cousins was messing with me, so I whistled back. That's when the hair on the back of my neck stood up. I heard the whistle again. This time it was right behind me, so close it felt like whoever was whistling was only inches away. Something in me knew not to turn around. I didn't. I started walking faster. I could already see the lights of the house and hear my family's voices. Then I heard it again, the whistle, and right after that, the sound of hooves hitting the rock-paved road. I started running and yelled for my brother. He came rushing outside, and I ran into the house, crying and rambling about what I had heard. I never turned around. My brother said he didn't see anything outside, but years later he admitted something to me. The reason he went outside wasn't my screaming. He heard the sound of hooves, too, and thought one of the horses had gotten loose. When I was 11 years old, living in Mexico, I had my first paranormal experience. We lived in a 2-story house, and my bedroom was on the 2nd floor, at the very end of a dim hallway. Not long after my grandmother passed away, the noises started. At first, I only heard them late at night. My parents would already be asleep, and I'd be alone in my room watching TV. It was usually around midnight, and I'd keep the volume muted while flipping through channels, trying to find something I wasn't supposed to be watching. That's when it happened for the first time. I was lying in bed. The TV was muted. The house was completely silent. Suddenly, I heard the sound of dining room chairs scraping against the floor downstairs. Not falling, not bumping, moving like someone was pulling them out to sit down. I knew my parents were asleep, but I told myself one of them might have gotten up for water. That explanation felt safer. So I got out of bed and opened my bedroom door. The hallway was pitch black. Our 2nd floor wasn't a normal hallway. The center was open, with railings that looped from my room toward the staircase. From there, you could clearly see downstairs. If any lights were on, I would have known immediately. There were none. The only light switch for that area was near my parents' bedroom, so I walked down the hallway and turned it on. From that spot, I could also see straight into the dining room and kitchen below. I rushed downstairs. No one was there. The chairs were pushed out slightly, just like I'd heard them being moved. I went back upstairs and quietly opened my parents' bedroom door. They were both asleep, snoring, completely unaware. That's when it hit me. Something had moved those chairs. And it wasn't my parents. This didn't stop after that night. Every time I heard a noise, I forced myself to walk downstairs and check the kitchen and dining room. There was only one place I refused to enter, my grandmother's old bedroom. Deep down, I was afraid of what I might find there, or who. After checking the rest of the house and finding nothing, I'd go back to my room and eventually fall asleep. Scared, but exhausted. The chair sounds didn't happen every night, but I heard them at least 3 or 4 times. Later on, other family members, even guests, said they had seen an apparition of my grandmother or felt someone touch them when no one was there. Thankfully, I never saw anything myself. I don't think I would have recovered if I had. This happened when I was in my early 20s after I started working the night shift at a small warehouse outside the city. The building was old, one floor, no windows except near the loading dock. At night, it was just me, the hum of the lights, and the sound of trucks passing on the highway. My job was simple: log incoming shipments and walk the floor every hour to make sure nothing was out of place. Around 3 a.m., things always felt different, quieter, heavier. One night, during my usual walk, I noticed something strange. One of the motion lights in the back hallway was on. That hallway led to a locked emergency exit that was never used. No one else was scheduled to be there. I assumed a sensor malfunctioned. As I got closer, the light turned off. I stopped. Then it turned back on again. This time I heard footsteps, slow, careful, not echoing like mine. I called out, thinking maybe a coworker showed up early. No answer. The footsteps stopped. I stood there for a moment, then turned around and went back to the office. I told myself I was tired, that my mind was filling in gaps. At 4 a.m., the radio crackled. It was tuned to a local station, low volume, just for background noise. Through the static, I heard my name, clear, calm. I froze. No one else knew I was there that night. No one should have been able to reach me on that frequency. I shut the radio off and sat in silence until my shift ended. The next morning, I mentioned it to my supervisor, half joking. He didn't laugh. He asked me exactly what time it happened and which hallway I was near. Then he told me something I wish he hadn't. Years ago, a night guard had a heart attack in that same hallway, collapsed during his patrol. He was found hours later, radio still on. After that, I started paying attention. Every night around 3 a.m., the motion light in that hallway would turn on by itself, and every once in a while, the radio would crackle. I quit not long after. Last week, I ran into someone who still works there. I asked if they ever had issues with the radio. He said, "Yeah, sometimes it says my name as my